So I just finished the post. We are now live in Cartoonist Kayfabe ringside seats and here on Zoom. Welcome to this month's. Oh, hold on. I got some more people coming in. Welcome to this month's Cartoonist Kayfabe ringside seats comic symposium. This week we've got two amazing, super special guests, two hometown heroes from the ringside seats, two big dudes. I don't mean physically, I mean cartoonically. And wearing their cartoonics right now, we have joining us first, the one and only Ben Perkins.
Oh,
what's up,
shit.
dude?
Hey,
How's it going? Whose Kickstarter is live right now and
10 days
super
left,
juiced.
everybody. Yeah.
10 days left. Hell yeah. And then our second guest has joined us early, but we love him anyway. It's Jamie Jones.
Oh, I'm early?
It's
I'll
fine.
leave.
You're here. Nah, dude.
I just made
to
food and was like, oh, I gotta
go. It's the East Coast, West Coast transformation, dude.
Oh,
oh, yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Who's that?
Donda.
iPhone. Yeah, Donda, we hear you, dude. Welcome.
All right, nice.
Hell yeah. All right. Ooh, we got some more peeps coming out. All right.
Nice.
While everyone's coming in, our host,
What up?
our other co-host, Rick Lopez, has got some major burners on the fire. Tell us about that, Rick. Tell us what's burning up over there.
What's up, guys? How's it going, everyone? So
What
I'm
up,
still
Rick?
putting out my book. What's up, dude? Still putting out my book, The Power. It's a 4-issue miniseries. It's about a boy creating his own comic, only to discover a realm beyond space and time within his own mind. So it's kind of that whole creation process we go through while we're working on stuff, how everything else around us kind of dissipates and we go into another realm completely. And this week, I just got the proof for issue 2. I made some small changes to it and I already sent it back to the printer. So I'm just waiting for those to come back essentially. But if you want to pre-order it, it's up on my Big Cartel / Doomdazed. I'm Doomdazed on Instagram, Rick Lopez on Facebook. Me, Eli, Craig, CK, and a whole slew of other people, some of them on here, some of them not announced yet. Ben is another new member, but we all put out our own strip, and I collected the first 7 strips of Cosmic Cat in just like this little mini comic.
Wow.
So I'm giving those out with all my book purchases and everything. It has like all my links on there and everything.
That's a mini comic, yo.
Yeah, it's like
awesome.
super tiny.
That's cool, bro.
But it's yeah. So we just all put that out on Next Panel Press on Facebook, and then now we're on Instagram too. If you want to follow us there as well. So.
Oh yeah, dude. All right. Yes. So, and what's the website where we can get that all again?
You can get it off my Big Cartel / Doomdazed, or you could PM me directly for like for international people. I'll just work with them directly.
Hell yeah. I don't know what y'all sleeping on. I got my order in already.
I got mine.
I'm waiting for you to drop that link here.
Oh yeah, drop it in the chat there, Rick.
Yeah, I got you.
And let's see, we are live in Facebook. So if anyone is popping over to Facebook and sees a question in there that I don't see, let us know. Welcome, Jerome. Welcome, Jason. Welcome, Ian. We got a great crowd going on today. I think I'll dive into my plugs. So this week I'm plugging Don't Get Too Close to My Fanzine, the world's only zine about Ween. 60 pages. We got a brand new second print that's dropping. Actually, it just dropped yesterday, and my prints are on the way right now. Now featuring even less spelling errors, so that's always good for the second print. So yeah, this was really fun, and we do feature some people you might know, including Matthew Allison, Christian J. Mizimo did the cover. And yeah, dude, so this is a pretty big one. I'd like to show you Matthew Allison's if you guys didn't see it. He redid the War album cover with Ween.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I made stickers of that, so everyone who orders one gets a sticker. Oh, Dr. Ben's in it too. I forgot. Yeah, I put Dr. Ben right at the beginning because he did my first Ween. He did a comic about like the first Ween he ever saw. Concert, I mean. I'm just kidding. Anyway, and also I got a new book from Cosmic Lion Productions dropping called Arcane. It's a young adult horror book coming out, written by Steele Philippek with art by Mac Radwanski. Mac Radwanski. I have not met him. He's from one of those places that's not the U.S. And we got help by Ben Granoff. He did a lot of the layouts. This cover is by Chris Anderson with colors by Christian J. Mizimo. So that's going to be huge. That's going to be in some local comic book stores as well as Cosmic Lion Productions.
It's a good book. I actually got to read the first couple issues of that. It's really good stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right, Ben. You're going to be helping us out with a cover in the future.
Third, yeah.
And I will also say Ben did an insane cover for the next promotional zine I have coming out, a Grendel zine.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
I've been
God.
doing a lot of work. I can't forget when I've done and when I haven't done.
Oh God, yeah, you need to make prints of that. I'll drop a little juice on that because I haven't told anyone yet. But it's a recreation of Love and Rockets issue 1 with all the Grendels up front. It's bomb.
I surprised myself, to be quite honest.
Oh, it's so sick. I showed a few people. I showed Reggie Byers. He was like super psyched on it. He's doing a pinup for us.
Cool.
And Matt and all them's gonna see it, so they're gonna love it.
Yeah. I'm excited. Stoked.
All right, so I do want to shout out Craig CK, who's working himself to the bone doing tattoos, and now that the world's opening up a little bit, he's super busy and super beat, so he's chilling out tonight. He's with us in spirit. Our other host, Ray Carcasses, whatever you want to call him. I mean, he's the man.
I've been called worse.
He's been called worse. Oh man. So Ray, what do you got to plug? You got a YouTube channel that's kicking along?
I'm just doing my YouTube channel. I'm just doing my reviews. I'm trying to focus on small press stuff, work that I get this from the K-Fabers. Last week I did even though it's a little bit late after it came out, I had just gotten during vacation, Tough Stuff, which I loved, 3T as well, and just trying to do that, just stuff that I find interesting. Like I read my first Mobius Blueberry book. And it's like I got a bunch in Boston. And it's like, holy crap, I missed all this. So I know it's like I want to talk about it, but then it's like everybody's talked about it. So it's like, what do I gotta say? But yeah.
People always talk about the sci-fi stuff. Not as many people talk about Blueberry. So you got an opening there.
Yeah, the thing is like it's not I thought it was gonna be like a typical Western, like hero shows up, there's a problem, he fixes it, he rides off, and it's not. It's actually very well written. Mobius gets all the credit, but the writing is very good. So I was thinking about that. And there's
who's the writer? Charlier or something?
Charlier, I forget his first name. But it's a pretty intricate but not confusing strip. And each episode is like a arc. You can read it on its own, but it's all part of a bigger arc and then part of a bigger arc. So nice. It's all one long story. It was serialized at first, but they have these write-ups in the books where like Mobius talks about the process, like, oh, I changed this panel, or I remember when I was doing this, and he's like really kind of hard on himself. I mean, he's sort of like, he knows he's great, but he knows that he F's up too. Yeah. And so it's just interesting reading this stuff. But yeah, I may do that just because I've heard about it. So like, it's like I kept hearing about it, but I'd never really seen it. But now that I've seen it, I want more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
One cool thing about the Blueberry stuff is there's 3 books left out of a limited edition collection that you can still get off graffitidesigns.com. Like, I feel like that's an underground, like people don't even know that there's super old shirts on their website. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, somebody on the board told me about them. I've heard that the dust jackets have issues, like they've stuck together, but the inside's supposed to be good. Right. But I've been thinking about getting those too for ones that I don't have, because the pricing really isn't bad.
Yeah. I got one of those like a while ago, and they didn't say it, and I didn't know, and it came signed on it had a signed book.
They actually tell you now they're signed out of 1,500.
Yeah.
So I was actually thinking about that because I just want the stories. It doesn't have to be the original, all the epics. And I got a ton of them, but now I got 2 of them, and then I got Lieutenant Blueberry, and I got Marshal Blueberry, and it's like, nice. I want to read them all because they're really good.
I agree. Word. Yeah, I mean, anything by Mobius, I mean, that's kind of like well known is bomb, but and shout out to other Floridians and a new favorite podcast I've been enjoying called the Short Box Podcast. They just did some cool coverage of Mobius too. So that's another.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Let me write that down.
They're out of Jacksonville. If so, we got some Floridians. Jamie Jones, no longer a Floridian though, unfortunately.
He got out.
He escaped.
Yeah, man. Hey, let me tell you, I live in South Florida, and let me tell you that it's either here or nowhere in Florida.
I mean, all right.
Let's
Segue over to our first guest here, which is Ben Perkins, artist, an amazing artist that we've all seen his work. He's got his It's Heavy, that is the Kickstarter right now, correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yes.
So that's on Kickstarter right now. Ben's all over the work. He just joined us for the short panel or next panel press, and and so that's amazing. So I want everyone to like think of questions. We're all kind of the hosts in this thing, which is part of the fun. So I just want to start out with Ben. Like, let's start kind of at the beginning. Like, what's the comics that grabbed you and made you be like, I can no longer sit idly by and read these. I need to now create.
That's a great question, actually, and I've answered that question differently, and I never really was. I was honest about that question. The answer. I feel that I think it was in 8th grade. And I think it was the 4-issue miniseries that I think it was Khaleesi did on Deathlock.
Oh wow!
And it was the scene where he goes back home as the monster robot. And he's in a trench coat, the whole thing. His wife's scared of him. He's like, oh no. And I felt the emotional impact from that. And surprisingly, I think that same scene shows up in Spawn #1, almost note for note, which is kind of a side story. Anyway, but I was taking an English class, and I think I had to do either a paper on it or bring something that had like impact from something in literature, and I chose that scene. And I think it was my English teacher that kind of like inspired me to like, he goes, "Wait, if you like those stories, you should just write stories that like you like. If you like comics, you should write comic." Yeah, it's just like my first passion was animation. Like I thought I was gonna like draw the next Smurfs, and I do that kind of thing. But then slowly, the comics kind of crept in. It's more accessible, more easy. So yeah, after that was like the big thing. Where like, I was like, oh yeah, people do this. I can, and I'm creative, and I'm an artist. Why haven't I been not doing this? And I think the real explosion for me is wanting to make my own was just parody. I parodied everything. So like when the Turtles came out, I think I had anthropomorphic armadillo warriors. So they're just like turtles, but they were brown, and they had fur on their tummies, and so that was kind of like, I remember my teacher, I think it was my 8th grade English teacher, a lot of English teachers. She was amazed. She thought I came up with that on my own.
You were like,
and I was like, no, that's the thing, but like, that's cool. I guess maybe I could do this. And so, yeah, that's ever since then, middle school.
So the armadillos were your first like creation?
First I remember like in 3rd grade, I had like a super bear that looked like Goofy. He had the 2 teeth sticking out of the side of his muzzle, and he had like goofy eyes, big old round eyes. I remember that being something I remember creating like when I was younger. But then ever since then, between those two, it was the Turtles really that inspired me to be like, oh, this is stupid and gimmicky. I can take all those adjectives and replace the creature, and so that's kind of how it got kicked off for me.
Yeah, it seems like the Turtles were really a catalyst for a lot of people. Like it's so simple and yet so grabbing. It's like it's not just the characters, it's like the name.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue. Yeah, just like blah 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 blah. It just falls out of your mouth like a cherry.
And a complete ripoff of Daredevil, but sure, okay.
But
exactly. Well,
we didn't know that then.
I mean, it's a formula that worked in Daredevil, and they're kind of doing their parody of Daredevil. So, and then that influences, like, it's a weird game of like telephone that just keeps going. It's awesome.
It was a Daredevil side quest.
Well, and how did we not figure that out at the first issue where you have the intergroup is called The Foot, and their lead, their mentor is called Splinter.
Right.
So it's
when
perfect.
The kid gets hit with the radioactive isotope.
Well, there you go.
Ricochets into. I'm like, I read that as a kid and like.
Wait a second.
Going, like, this is Daredevil. I've read that.
I thought that was obvious from issue #1.
Yeah, depends on your age. I think I was kind of too young to know a lot about.
I was too young
Daredevil
too.
Stuff.
But that's the thing,
But-
like the cartoons and stuff, they didn't do such a direct Daredevil like.
Yeah, they didn't do like the
homage.
truck wreck and stuff.
No,
They just,
yeah,
yeah.
it didn't have like Matt Murdock saving the blind guy, pushing him out of the way, and then the Ricochet in. And so it was like, oof, right past it, you know. Like, oh.
Yeah. Well, by the time the cartoon had come out, like the Turtles had kind of like built their own identity aside from being a spoof of Daredevil.
Yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Really, that
So-
first
But it was
issue
also
was
really fast how that happened, wasn't it? Wasn't that
so
within a year or
fast.
two?
Like 5 years that
Was
they
it
went
5?
from indie book to like $1 million property.
I think it
Okay,
was
yeah,
like just
still-
a couple years. It was like a year.
Yeah,
or two.
I mean, I feel
Yeah,
like
you-
the first, it was like 80 something when the cartoon came out, mid 80s.
Yeah, maybe 87. So
book
that
came
would
out-
only give it like
A
like
year.
4 years. Yeah.
And
Okay.
Or didn't the
even-
first one come out in
Put it this
83?
way,
86.
I was doing sketches on Free Comic Book Day at my local comic shop here, and the one person comes up and they're like, "I want a Ninja Turtle. Can you?" And I was like, "Okay, who's your favorite?" And they're like, like Raphael or whatever." And I'm like, you know, I'm not a super turtle freak like some people are. So I'm like, well, like, which one is that? And they're like, oh, he's the one with like the blue bandana. And I'm like, they all have red ones. What's his weapon? His eye, his sword. That's how
They're all
I
in black
differentiate.
and white. What do you mean?
Yeah,
Right.
it's all duo shade. I get it. Duo shade. That's what it is. Yeah.
All right, Ben. So you're starting to create these independent, these, spoof characters. When did you first create something that was like your full idea and you were like, oh man, this is my thing. I'm going to like be able to market this here.
And honestly, not to be too cheesy, it was heavy. I mean, I literally came up with the character nearly 20 years ago.
Wow.
I've been more like 15, I guess. But yeah, it was, I had like a greaser character, that was like, moved in out dreams, nothing concrete. Like I had a bunch of ideas, but basically what ended up happening, I had a friend come over and we used to have like little idioms between us, like, oh, I have that with a bag of rice. And like all these, if you live in a house with a lot of people, you develop like these like shorthand sayings to each other. And he used to say to me all the time when he got angry, like, don't make me drop the heavy horse. And it was years later that he was hanging out with me and I had kids at this point and he was meeting my children. And he just kind of offhandedly said that. And I just saw this horse-like character coming out from shadows into like pools of light, just so dramatically, right? I'm like, oh, that's something. I got to do something with that. And ever since then, it's just been like an itch in the back of my brain. And the way it's taken so long is I had to find an appropriate story to tell around this character. Nothing ever seemed to fit, and then I just kind of that 3 years ago kind of landed on the idea. So
we
yeah,
got like what's your elevator pitch or like what's your hook for
basically.
Heavy?
What my tagline is: in a ruined world, Heavy must navigate the wastelands to restore balance to a world he inadvertently destroyed.
Whoa.
So it's the main themes of the story, which I didn't really know until I developed this new iteration, was estrangement, reconnection, and taking ownership of responsibilities that you've previously like kind of eschewed. So, and then in the Heavy's case, it's kind of like the Matt Murdock thing. He wants to do good, but every time he does, he causes great damage. And so he gets to a point where he's like, I'm not going to deal with it anymore. But then he can't kind of ignore it anymore.
Gotcha.
He has to take action, and it's through way of a surrogate father.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I have issues with my brother, so a lot of it's about brotherhood and having family members don't see eye to eye necessarily, and how do you navigate that?
I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of people can.
Yeah. I do know that you're like incredibly creative and the amount of ideas that you have, we've met before and talked about
We
the different
talked about
ideas
you,
that you have. They're amazing. So just I'm interested in your creative process and how you go about like, because again, it was very organized. Like when I think like, oh, I got a bunch of ideas too, but they're just floating around in the alcohol pickled ether of my brain. So like I'm wondering like how you stay organized and how you collect your ideas like that.
Notebooks, a lot of writing.
Yeah.
And I'm OCD. So what I'll do is I'll write a list of stuff out and then I'll tear it up and I'll rewrite the list. It's just something that I do. But I take a lot of time to think. I watch a lot of movies. I read a lot of books. I watch a lot of people. I people watch a lot when I can. It was hard during the quarantine, obviously, but
Right.
They spark ideas, just a little interaction between a person, and I will take that and say, well, what if this element was added? What would that come out to? What kind of story would that be? Or taking tropes that I really, really like. Like I have a Red Riding Hood idea that I really want to do because I'm fascinated with the idea of Red Riding Hood. So I want to try to update that, make it like I don't want to spoil it too much. But yeah, I have a really cool idea for it. So you just kind of write and develop it. And every one of my ideas, as far as story-wise, I always want to have an end point. I like to know where I'm going. Like it's not basically the destination I might want to get to, but at least I know how to get there. And if I divert anywhere on the path, I know I can steer myself back to get there. So like with any kind of idea I come up with, I always kind of come up with the ending first. Like what's the most badass ending to this idea? And then I kind of retroactively work backwards. Each idea is a little different, but for the idea that, I want to work on with you, that was more of listening to cartoonist kayfabe and him saying like, oh yeah, it's so hard to do this. I've never seen this kind of comic book. I've never seen this kind of comic book. I've never seen a comic book that did this. I'm like, oh, I can do all three of those and put them together. And then you can't dispute the fact that it's a badass comic book because I did all those things,
Yeah.
So
Dude,
just
working
ideas.
backwards is such a good way to do it because I feel like I've almost done every time the opposite way to the point of where I'm like, how the hell am I going to end this? Like, I have no idea.
I can't remember where I picked this up. The analogy was if you're on a beach and you just start and you walk backwards on the beach, and you just look ahead, you'll see all your footprints ahead of you, and it's easy to know where you're going at that point. So that's kind of like how I do the writing. I really like to have a nice ending. Sometimes I don't have the ending first. Like I said, every project's different, but I know that's the piece I need before I really start writing and building it. Is I need to know where we're going to end up, and of course that could change, but the theme and the tone and the experience of that ending always pretty much remains the same. The particulars, the details around it might switch around, but I'm always shooting for like, that's where I want to go. That's the purest ending I know. Now everything else I can just have fun and just figure out how to get there. And that's one of the hardest. Heavy was really hard because when I was first starting it, there was all these logistical nightmare things I had to figure out plot wise and like continuity wise. And the more I was working on, the more epic it became. So more important it was to make sure that no one could go back and say, well, what about when, that doesn't make sense. So yeah, so that's one of the things. Like that's why having an ending for me is really important, so I can keep all those threads kind of tight. And if I want to change anything, it's not going to affect too much of the outcome that I want in the end.
Yeah, it's not always the most easy thing, but I like the organization. Let's go over to our other host, Rick Lopez. See what kind of questions he's got. What you got going on, Rick?
What's up, Ben?
Hey, man, it's nice to see you.
Good. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you too, dude. Heavy is your first Kickstarter though, right?
It is, yeah, very, very first.
Okay. So like first of all, what made you go down that route? But also like obviously congratulations because it's doing so great. But that's awesome. Like as I'm kind of curious, like it's your first one and everything, and it like went off like, I mean, I'm sure better than expected, right? So it's like,
yeah, very humbled, very surprised. I think a lot of that has to do with you guys, the kayfabe community. You guys freaking showed up, which is what I was really hoping for, beyond my expectations. But to get back to your first question, I was had the most great position that anyone could hope for. I was getting paid to create content for my own book, and I had a publishing company that was being run through an app that they were testing out. And so I got the ability to get paid a page rate for making my book, and that went defunct, and he had to close shop. So I had all this content. I had the first issue done. I didn't know what to do with it, so I decided, well, now's the time. I backed a bunch of Kickstarter projects. I got a lot of great products and prizes in return. So I figured, let's do some research. I was really, really intimidated by the whole process. A lot of people said it was really, really hard, and it's not hard. I learned. I took about a month. And then I learned.
It's involved though. There's a lot of steps.
There's a lot of steps. They're manageable though, and you got to do the learning. And that's what I did. I just took the time. I dedicated a month to learning ins and outs. A lot of the great kayfabers hit them up privately and asked them how they ran their Kickstarters, what to watch out for, pitfalls, how to make the fulfillments. I still don't know everything. I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing the best I can. But I figured I had a lot of support through the kayfabe community as far as put up artwork, and people give me like really the most wonderful responses and support, and just like private messaging people. And I figured, well, at least I know that some people won't. So let's see how many. I really did it on a whim when I started building it. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to build the whole thing. I'm going to get it done. It took me about a couple of weeks, and then I went to pre-launch, and that was really nice. And then I almost made my goal, and I think I made my goal in 15 days. So, and it's a small goal. The one thing that I would say, if you're first starting out to do it, I made the conscious choice to keep it manageable. My goal was to at least be able to fund the making of 300 units of everything that I needed. So 300 people signed up, which, I mean, I got 135 backers now, but I would know that I'd have at least that much to be able to give everybody what they wanted. So, and it's looking like I can do it. So it's been amazing. But yeah, start small. I had a $4,000 campaign, very tiny, compared to a lot of other people's, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's going strong. I mean, I'm at 4,747 now. So I'm gobsmacked, to be honest. I'm super surprised.
That's good though. That really is good, man, because I see people launch their Kickstarters with like high numbers, like 30K, 40K. And once you talk to a printer, you have a good idea of like what it's going to cost you to produce your book. And then you have to sit there and say if it's your first Kickstarter or your second. And, I mean, look, it's one thing if it's Jim or Ed Piskor. Like that, those are big guys. They can
and I'm not those guys.
Right. So you have to be a little realistic of like, what can I get by with, and do like, a realistic amount, right, rather than like, well, I'll shoot for the moon. If I miss, that's fine. It's like, no.
Yeah, the thing for me is I didn't want to come away from this having a debilitatingly humbled experience. I wanted to be able to like at least make the goal, and I'm obviously it's good. So I'm super happy. I'm super excited for the people who signed up. Are going to get original artwork and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm stoked for you guys. I'm excited. I wish I could be one of you get this because I don't know. I think it's a good book. I think people are going to like it.
It is a good book.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks.
We're psyched.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
I was just trying out something.
No, that's fun. I love it, dude.
I saw that recently. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's so fun. I was like, we're all in class now.
We're in a class. All right, awesome. Over to Ray. What's up, dude?
Yeah.
Got any questions?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, and I'm sorry I had to step away for a second because, when you have kids, everything's an emergency, but it's really not. I just want to know, like, what kind of artists you looked at, because I seen the panel that you have, the image that you're using for the Kickstarter, and I loved it, and I was trying to think, who does this kind of remind me of a little bit, like influences, not that it's a copy or anything, but I was just kind of curious, like, who you looked at, because it has that outer space feel, that science fiction feel, but it has that more of that old school vibe, like when I was a kid and I was reading stuff in the 70s and maybe early 80s.
That's a wonderful compliment. Yeah.
And so that one image, I'm like, that looks like something like I would have seen in the 70s when you're looking at, comics and sci-fi. I don't know if that was what you wanted, or
guys
that you did.
I don't know what I wanted, to be honest. Like, I'm glad you got that from that. But it might have something to do with some influences. Number one, my biggest influences might be Neil. Just as an artist, composition, draftsman, but as a content-owned creator, that was my template. Like, I wanted to be that guy. I want Heavy B's the household name as Hellboy is now, and it could happen. I mean, he proved it could happen. So that was that one big dude, that I liked. I do like Jeff Smith a lot. He's one of my favorite cartoonists. So you'll see a lot of Jeff Smith in my work. Art Adams, Jack Kirby, Steranko, all the stuff that we grew up with, with Bob Heck, all those guys. Yeah. So Mike Zeck, I think I was Mike Zeck instead. I mean, Frank Miller is really up there. When I first started, I was heavily doing Sin City style. I think in the first issue you have a gallery of all the different iterations of Heavy in the back, and a few of them you can definitely tell that he was supposed to be like a dirty noir detective, Venetian blinds all running out his ass, the whole thing. So it definitely was basically like a lot of Frank Miller in the beginning. But yeah, there's it's hard to tell because I look at so many people, and so many people stick to me in a way where I kind of like, oh, I like that kind of stroke that guy uses for whatever Bush. I'm gonna use that now.
No, I think it's the best way because I remember one time like Liam Sharp when he was doing Wonder Woman, he was getting buzz for that. I told him, I see Barry Windsor Smith in your art. He's like, thank you very much. But there's also so-and-so, and there's also so-and-so. And he mentioned like 4 or 5 guys. Bam, bam. These are all guys that all influenced me, and it was kind of like that whole pot just came out with something kind of cool.
I definitely can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
actually, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Oh, so like with that, there's another guy I keep forgetting to bring up as far as one of my influences. That's Klaus Janssen. He is like penultimate for me. Most of the reason because of the way he describes how to use black and white, and he says anytime you use a texture, it's a level of gray, and that just unlocked everything for me. So I really think a lot in terms of texture now instead of just like the line quality of like a contour line or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I want you to feel it.
No, I'm looking forwd to it, man. I'm glad. I'm happy to back it. And,
yeah, I'm happy to look forward to your review of
it. I'm sure it'll be good, man. I'm sure it won't
but
be.
We'll see. Fingers crossed.
You know what? I've seen enough. You can kind of tell at least what you like what you like, and what you can just see it in kind of a couple of images, and it's like did they pick, so it looks cool. It's got a cool that one image man. That it's got a cool vibe to it.
I appreciate that. I have major insecurities, so if anything,
you're an artist.
If the work comes off looking competent, then I've won. If it looks like it's intentional, then I'm good.
You know what? All creatives, no matter what they do, if they really care about it, they see all the flaws.
Yeah, that's true.
And no matter how, I'm reading this Mobius book, and Mobius has this line, like he basically says, I still wasn't happy when I read this panel, and he goes, but it's really hard to be good every day, which is like he knows he's Mobius, but he also knows that like some days he's just not feeling it, and it's going to come out so. Sure. But his so is better than most people's ever was. So it's like
to him, he's just the dude that like lets him down every day when he trips over something, or the guy who can't get as high as he used to get because whatever. And like,
yeah, that's what I think is important too. Like the thing that also that unlocked for me too is just having the mind of a cartoonist. Turn them and burn them. My next one will be better. It's like an Ed Wood mentality. Well, that panel sucked. Well, my next one will be better. That's kind of how I my
my next picture.
My next picture will be better. But yeah, that Ed Wood can apply to anything. I think if you're a creative person, it's the perfect allegory.
Well, on a pashmina and get to the next one.
Good luck, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Word. Quick shout out in between questions. Donda's got a new book that's insane, and that's another amazing thing about everyone here is everyone's putting stuff out. Everyone's constantly cranking. The new Ringside Thology is going to come out tomorrow with a cover by a guy who didn't even draw a couple months ago, Manny Gomez, and now he's got the cover of a zine, and he's got 2 zines he's publishing. So awesome. The power of our group, dudes. It's
pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Manny, don't be shy.
I'm not shy. I'm here.
I know, but no, man. I didn't know you were doing that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
he's triumphing, dude.
Congratulations, bro.
Yeah, I'm doing a Batman zine or
right
zine based on yeah.
Well, I have nobody knows that he has the cover except him and me, and I guess Ricky.
Yeah. He like emailed me that. I was kind of surprised because like I really didn't think that I did anything special this time around, but now that I look at it, I do kind of like it though. It does remind me of a flyer, which is what
it's awesome. It's perfect for the cover, dude. Honestly. All right, let's bounce over to our dude. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Manny. Sorry.
No, I said I'm honored to be on the cover, man. It really was a nice little thrill. So.
Hell yeah, dude.
Thank you.
All right, let's bounce over to Jerome Cabanatan, the maestro of Hi-Ya.
That's right.
What's up, Ben?
Hey, man, how you doing?
My master himself.
Congratulations on that Kickstarter. It looks dope. I just a couple things. One is I can see that it's not just like it's not just your art or your draftsmanship. It's like your design sense is really cool. Like when I like even down to like panel borders and then small things like that. But like when I see the pages of heavy, like that's not, those aren't spreads. Like it's a landscape format. Is that true, or am I wrong?
Yeah, that's what I was going for. I apologize. I think I might be a little laggy.
Okay,
I live in the boonies, dude.
I
So
thought it was something stupid. But yeah, I see like it's the landscape. Like what made you decide on, hey, let's make it like, and it's not like the Spider-Man X-Force where you turn a regular sized book, right? It's gonna be
I like that.
like bound on the short end.
Right, exactly. Because I wanted to give myself a challenge, and I like to do dumb things. But also, I felt that the landscape format lent an easier aesthetic feel to it being a Western. A lot of it takes place in flat, desolate areas, and I thought having a vertical book would kind of negate that experience. So it took a while. I found a local printer that was able to handle my capabilities, so it's great.
Oh yeah, because I found that interesting. Like seeing the work. It's like Tommy draws horses. Like this is that's already a level above above so many things. He's drawing horses, and he's worried about the chain link fence behind the horse. Like nobody's looking at the chain link fence. Just get the stuff done. So, but seeing that, that was a big hook, because like there's so much like storytelling and pacing that can happen in a landscape format that doesn't happen normally. I thought that was really interesting. I was gonna back it anyway, but it was like that was a big selling point. But
cool, that's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted it to be unique as well. I just wanted this. I mean, it's gonna be short and squat, so like on the stands, it's not really I wasn't really thinking about that, but just as far as the reading experience, having it in your hands, I just thought it would be unique enough to be memorable.
Right. It makes it feel a little bit more like Westerny. Has that sound that has that like it can have that.
Yeah, I definitely was going for the Sergio Leone, yeah, for sure.
So there's that. But the second thing is like heavy's dope, but I know I messaged you before, but I'm pretty sure maybe other people are thinking about it. But Kaijudo.
Oh yeah.
Like Kaijudo, like something like an ash can or something as a stretch goal or something, because if you don't do it, I'm gonna print it for myself.
I have 12.
He will.
And you know what? That'd be great. I love that idea. I do actually have 12 completed pages of the first issue. So I might have that as a preview for a stretch goal. I'm still exploring how to do the stretch goals if they're needed right now. I might say that for another Kickstarter, I might finish the first issue of Kaijudo and have that as
you can take my money twice.
Well.
That's fine.
A lot of people have been asking about it. That was a shot in the dark idea. I did not know that idea was going to catch on. I basically sold it as a lark to the department stores with Heavy on. And it just came to my head. And I'm like, hey man, I had this funky idea. It's like Pokemon meets Fight Club meets Godzilla. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, oh crap, I don't have a story. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
It doesn't need a story.
So I watched a lot of Serpico. I watched a lot of like undercover. There, that's kind of like what I'm going for. So it's like an undercover story, like with giant monster men.
Like my 5-year-old son, he wants that book, right?
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Like he was saying how like we were both like he was laughing at the X eyes, like when you put like, so now when he draws somebody that is like he always does X eyes, but to see someone, it's not just like a kid drawing it. It's like it's professional. Look at this.
Right.
Like it's rendered well. The colors pop. Everything looks good. Perspective is right. But look, X eyes. He's dead. Right.
Wow, thanks, man. That's an amazing compliment. Yeah, I guess it's just
a mix between like what you would think like was like comic book art and comic strip art, right? It was that good mix, and it really shows the Jeff Smith influence, right?
Right, and there's a lot of water sin in that
I-
book. Actually, I
when
was
I
trying to
first-
pull some
when I first
Calvin
saw
Hobbes
Heavy,
stuff out of there.
I thought he was a red dragon for a little bit, but then I was like, no, he's a horse.
Yeah, yeah, that'll happen. It took me a while to get the final model of what Heavy's face would look like. He looked like a hippo for a long time, and a lot of people thought he was a hippo. So that's stupid.
Oh man.
But yeah, man, Cat Judo, it's
I
a fan.
can't wait.
I'm really glad you like it. Kudos to your sons for liking it too, man. That's really awesome. That's
Yeah,
so
man,
cool.
thanks. Thanks, dude. I really enjoy the stuff, and it's like, I want to see more, right? I want to see more. I don't care if you have the chain link
No
fences
doubt,
wrong.
no doubt. Yeah, dude. I had to lock in how to do a chain link fence, dude. It was like the elusive golden idol for me. I just and I figured it out. Now I'm not gonna stop using
That
them.
that post made me break like some pens and pencils because I was mad. I was like, just draw an X, like just draw an X, and now you have me all insecure about myself, thinking about chain link fences. Now I have to start drawing grass.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, I'm sorry for that, but hey, if it makes you better at doing chain link fences, then more power to you.
Work now, Ben. But thanks, dude.
Right on. Thank you, dude. That's awesome, dude. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerome.
No
All
problem.
right, let's move over to Kevin Delgado. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man. Nice to see you.
You too. Hey, I supported the Kickstarter because it looks really great. My only
I
question
know. I
was,
saw it. Thank you very much.
Did you do all your artwork like traditionally, or did you do it all digital? Because it looks like really crisp and clean. So like I was thinking digital, but I never know.
So I am kind of like a magician. I always want to get to make secrets. My asshole jerk answer is my goal is that you never tell. But to be quite honest, the first half of this book I did traditionally, and then some of the pages for expedition purposes I had to do digitally. That's why on the Kickstarter for the original art page for the issue, only like 20 available because that's all I had because I did 20 traditionally. But I mostly try to do as much as I can on the page before I take it to digital. I just feel more comfortable doing it that way. But I practice a lot more of my tablet here, and so I'm not as intimidated by doing everything digitally now. So from this point forward, I don't know. I mean, it depends on the day, like what I can do faster. But I really like ink on paper. That's my go-to every time. And congratulations on your Kickstarter too, man. Tough Stuff's pretty awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you find, Kevin, a lot of people talking about the box, or more people talking about the comic? Because that was a badass box.
Both, yeah, a lot.
It's all about presentation, man. Another thing I was thinking about Donda's book. He's got this like golden thing here. He's got this like import CD like side panel thing.
That looks good.
I try. I'll be trying.
Yeah, I've got some other tricks up my sleeve for. Get out of here. I've got some other things for future, but
Nice.
It looks great, man. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Just like Ben was talking about, just like it seems like we're all talking about when we present our comics, we try to find that little thing that like can set it apart, whether it be like a coloring style or be it like the straight art style, or, you know, Jamie does like the hardcover trades with like the painted look and like, you know, get in that like singular look, the ink washes of a Jason Lapidus or the. What's up, Russell? Welcome, dude. Good to have you. All right. Anyone else have any questions for Ben? Russell, I know you just got in here. Oh yeah, who's that? Donda?
Yeah.
What up?
So as you know, like, I don't know, I've reached out to Ben a couple of times, man. You know, I love the heavy stuff. I feel like, you know, as a person, as a fellow creative, you know, I feel like I'm at a point in my life where when I'm reading stories, I like to see characters that are a little exaggerated, and I think Heavy does that a lot for me. You know, I can't wait to get a hold of it. That's number one. Number two, you know what I mean? I feel like your creative process is great because I can see that you bring traditional with digital, which I find like extravagant, because I try to do the same thing in my own work, but like you do it so well in yours. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man.
Like your coloring though, as you know, and we spoke, is fucking phenomenal. You know
Which
what I
is
mean?
coincidentally
I feel like,
the one thing I'm so self-conscious about. The coloring is the part that takes me the longest, and the part that I'm not always confident about. So I appreciate that, man.
Nah,
It's
dude.
nice to know.
Nah, dude. The coloring is like, I even hit you up like, yo, can you help me out? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
Like, the coloring is like ridiculous. And another thing that I wanted to bring out was like, you know, Cabanatan mentioned it, like, you know, you're doing shit on a landscape format. I think is like crazy, you know, because I've hardly seen anything like that. Like I remember when you first started putting it out, you were like, you know, it kind of was like a calendar. It was like a calendar kind of like format.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I started actually like in the preview, when I seen the pages connecting, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this dude's got this shit going on, yo. So I just want to say congratulations too. You know, I'm sitting here working at the same time while I'm hanging out, so I apologize. But I do want to show love and say, yo, congratulations.
That's the way to do it.
On the Kickstarter, yo. You know what I mean? I'm pumped to get heavy. I'm pumped that you're getting it out. You know what I'm saying? Yo, man, just more power to you. And I just want to let you know also, you're very inspirational. Like you, Rick, Eli, you know, Cabanatan, you guys, like, you constantly tearing it up. You know what I mean? I really like that, you know? And it helps me push my work. You know, I look at your work like shit, well.
You know, I just do what I do, man.
What did I
I'm
do wrong?
so happy. That's inspiring to me. That just means that I got to keep doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? But that's very humbling, dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all those kind words. I'm excited for you to get the book, and I really just hope everybody enjoys it. Like, you know, it's just crazy where it's getting to this fever pitch from here, and I'm like, I hope it lives up to it. There's, you know, it ends on a weird note at the end to hopefully get you back for another one. You know, so I'm stoked. I really hope people enjoy it. I hope you specifically enjoy it. You definitely have been. We chatted a few times, man. You're a good dude. I appreciate all your kind words, man. That's great.
No doubt. But you deserve it, yo. And you know, I really hope this project works out for you, because I think it's great. You know what I mean? Like I could see Heavy as, you know what I mean, having its own animation series. You know what I mean?
I know, right?
So,
what's the deal? What are we doing, Hollywood?
Like, I feel like the character himself is just so original. Like I've never seen like this badass horse character. You know what I mean? He's got like one arm. Like when you look, like when you were drawing, I seen he had like one arm and shit. And he was like in this arena. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's really just ripping off stuff I like.
Sorry.
That's all Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome stuff right there. That's all that is, you know? Blaster. You know, anyway.
That shit was crazy. And the chain link fence, because Jerome was talking about it, the chain link fence was worth everything. That when I was looking,
thank you. That's it. I can die now.
I put in the comments like, yo, okay, Heavy looks dope, but yo, look at that fence though. You know what I mean? Like that fence was like borderline fucking perfect. And I'm like, shit, I don't have like, if that was me, I would like cheat all the way the fuck around that. And I try to be like,
as
that's detailed as possible, but I would cheat all the way around that shit.
You would not cheat. You draw Escher staircases with
no
that's
rulers. What I'm saying. Like
no rulers. You would not.
That...
You would just get lost for a week and just figure it out.
I don't know, man. That chain link fence did it for me, because that's something I got a problem drawing to it. I'm just like, I don't know. I respect that compliment, Dougie, but yo, that fence did it for me in that shot. I was like,
oh man, that's
you know
awesome.
what I mean? It pushed the character off the panel perfectly. So
Thanks,
I mean, I ain't
dude,
trying to do too much ass kissing, but yo, I'm really happy to see this project get out.
It's fine.
Yo.
I don't have hemorrhoids or any STDs. You can kiss and lick as much as you want. It's totally fine. No, I definitely appreciate it. I think that's the difference, though.
Congrats, yo.
Yeah, I think that's like makes a cartoonist though, and what makes a smart cartoonist is what stuff you actually spend the time constructing and building, and what the stuff you fake it because you know it's not as necessary. And I think that's the balance that's really hard for me sometimes. So I try to go all in when I can, and then after that, kind of pull back if I need to, like make that drawing quicker. There's some moments in that chain link fence that aren't sound physically, but it still works as like, you know, a backdrop. But yeah, I appreciate it, man. I hope I get more compliments on the chain link fence. I hope that's the thing that sells this book.
Dang, it seems like this book is about chain link fences and a
Yeah,
horseman
dude.
that makes chain link fences.
Yo,
This
did
is,
you see that fence, bro?
I did. I can't remember it honestly.
Like,
You gotta
did
send it
you
to me.
see
So
the fence?
I gotta
Ben,
make
your
a
next book
timestamp here
is
so I can
just
edit
pictures
this.
of fences.
All right, we got one last question here for you, Ben, from another Ben, and then we're going to
Yeah.
talk to our second guest, Jamie Jones. What up, Ben? What up, Doc? What up, Doc?
That's right. Yeah, I've got to ask you. Obviously, congratulations, Ben, because
Thank you.
Ben's got to stick together. Obviously.
Oh yeah, dude. Bens are great.
I got to know, like, did you ever see the was it called Marshall Bravestar cartoon, where it had
Yes, Brave Star. It was just Brave Star.
Yeah.
Brave Star, eyes of the hawk, ears of a wolf. Yes, I definitely know that cartoon. Yeah.
yeah, because that's exactly what I thought of every time I've seen.
Oh yeah, his I didn't realize that his character stood up on hind legs and talked and shot guns or whatever. I had the figure, and the figure
Right.
itself was just a horse that didn't move, and he just sat Brave Star in it, and he just plotted him around. I totally
Right.
forgot that cartoon, but yeah, now that you mention it, that does bring back memories of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe way buried in my subconscious. That was sitting there for the longest time,
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's because you never see, like, what would you call that? Like a bipedal horse, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you never see,
I've been calling him my equine protagonist.
right?
That's the only
That's the
thing I
thing,
can think of that
it's
sounds
awesome.
smart.
That's all I just want to say.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think I always I did another Galaxy. I did a gator book that's like an anthropomorphic gator. I like anthropomorphic characters, going back to like Aesop's fables and stuff. They would use those to tell stories, and so I thought I could put and imbue a lot of character personality into him without doing much. And a lot of people, I just had the character for years, and people were like, "Oh, I can't wait for Heavy to come out." I'm like, "I don't have a story yet. I don't know what to tell you," but I love him so much. I love him, and they have put so much of themselves into that character. So I think that's what I think the benefit of having like an anthropomorphic character is that it's even more so than a cartoon human. You can put a lot more of yourself into that character. Be like, yeah, I'd act in that situation the same way, or whatever. So yeah, but that's a good note. Thank you, man.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. Like I said, congrats. Awesome. Glad. Happy for you.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, man. I'm happy for everybody. I'm happy that you're happy. I mean, it's just gonna keep going around and around, man. Spread that love around like peanut butter.
All right, we got one more question here from a new guy that joined us, Brandon. What's up, Brandon? Welcome to the kayfabe.
Thank you.
What do we call it? Small press spotlight. And yeah,
Can
so
you
what's
hear
your
me all
question?
right?
Yeah, we hear you great.
All right, cool. Ben,
Hey.
did you get any like press outside of the ringside seats kind of bigging you up?
Yeah, I mean, I did a YouTube interview with I think his name's Louis. Yeah, with Quoth the Raven. I did that last week. That bumped some numbers up. I just got done doing an interview with Ryan for Comic Lounge, and I think he told me that was going to drop on Monday, which is going to help with the last bit of the push for the Kickstarter. Yeah, besides that, not a lot of press. I mean, I'm doing this now, so hopefully that gets more people who aren't aware of the project aware. But yeah, as far as that, not a lot. I mean, it's just been really the faith and devotion and just the connections I have made through the community, which has been
that's huge.
crazy for me. I mean, I knew you guys would show up, but I didn't know you guys would show up this hard. I mean, that's showing up and showing out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I'm thinking about doing a Kickstarter coming up after my first issue comes out.
Sure.
To continue on, but I'm possibly going to be reaching out for some press, but it involves mental health too. So I was probably going to reach out to the mental health community. I have a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, do it. Just do it. That's all you need to do. Just do
Right.
it. You got it. You're
Go
on the
for
right path, dude. Do it.
All right. Yeah, appreciate it. And
Yeah,
good luck.
man.
I saw that you surpassed your goal.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know what to think about it, dude. It's like I don't know. I'm not ready for that type of success, so I'm glad it's small.
yeah, definitely. I definitely, relate with that. So, but yeah, keep on doing it yourself,
Well,
Cool.
I'm trying, man. Thank you. It's good luck on your endeavors too, man. And like I said, the mental health angle, yeah, really. I can't think of another word, but really exploit that. Really hit those people up. You know, get those
Right.
organizations, man. Get that word
Yeah.
out, man. That really helps.
Just kind of unsure because it's like it's about mental health, but I didn't want it to be like a sob story like about it. I wanted it to be just kind of do something fun. So
Sure.
I'm kind of unsure about hitting up people outside of the comics realm, you know.
Don't be. Just be confident with your work. Be confident with your mission statement, and then the rest will fall into place.
Word.
Yeah, especially if it seems like already it's a pure and honest piece of work, then that'll attract the people that need to be attracted to it.
Right. Yeah. I just need to find that audience, you know.
No, and stuff like that. I think the audience will find you. I mean, that's what I've been finding with this Kickstarter. I didn't have to go far; they found me right away. So,
okay, cool.
Which is yeah, man. Yeah, good luck to you, man. I wish you all the best.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's
all
it.
right. Yeah, Ben. Well, thank you so much, dude. For
thank you. Sorry if my camera seems like it's being really laggy, so I apologize for that. I live in the boonies, so my internet connection's kind of always wavery.
Your audio was coming through perfect, and that's like the big part.
All I care about that. Cool. Yeah, because you don't need my face, you just need my voice.
Well, you're more than welcome. We'd love you to stick around during the Jamie Jones portion. All right, awesome. Well, cool. All right, so now let's segue over to hanging out with Jamie Jones. You guys know him from his work with the Baboon. And we interviewed him once for his work with the crossover book, The Baboon and Pink Lemonade, which was a super fun book. Jamie, what you been up to, dude? What you got going on right now? I know you just launched a new Kickstarter too, right?
I did. Yeah. Yes. I launched a 32-page one-shot Baboon comic this week, Tuesday. On Tuesday, I launched.
Perfect.
And that's been going well. So yeah, that's the kind of the new thing that has happened.
For those of us that don't know the Baboon, tell us a little bit about him and some of your influences. Will Eisner and
Will Eisner, Eric Powell. That's
yeah.
I wear my influences on my sleeve at this point.
Your literal T-shirt you wear.
My literal T-shirt, my literal shirt sleeve.
Me as well.
Yeah, typically I have a bow tie on, but I forewent it for whatever reason today. Switching things up. Yeah, I mean, the Baboon is my love letter to pulp action adventure comics. That's of the 40s and 50s specifically. So I'm a big fan of Terry and the Pirates. I'm a big fan of The Spirit and Jack Cole's Plastic Man. That's all that's my bread and butter. That's the stuff when I wake up in the morning and have a cup of coffee, that's what I want to read. So yeah, I decided to make a comic book that was an all ages friendly action adventure comic, and made the Baboon 2 years ago is when that my first Kickstarter was launched. And then yeah, I've done over 200 pages now. The second hardcover book is like completely inked and ready to go. I'm slowly lettering that and putting it up on Patreon currently and coloring it and getting ready for another Kickstarter. But I didn't want this year to go by without a Kickstarter. Right. So I started a Twitch channel a month ago, and on Twitch I was like, hey, what if I just drew an entire book on stream and we did a Kickstarter at the same time? And everyone was like, yeah, go ahead and do it. And that happened, and that's what we have now. So the Baboon Skull of a King is a 32-page book that you can watch the entire thing happen on Twitch. So
what a good idea, dude. Are you finding that you're like interacting with the people that are watching and like getting ideas, or they're suggesting things, or they're like, hey, I don't know if it's called a super chat over there or whatever, but they're like, oh, I'll throw some subs out to everyone. I know little about Twitch, but then you'll add them in a page or something like that.
Not really. What I have found, which has been really great for me, is they're more interested in just me like talking through stuff and just talking through process. So I did a full stream of me plotting out a book, which is I don't suggest anybody ever do. I think I slept for 2 days afterwards. It was, like giving a lecture on writing and plotting out a story. I also end up I learned this about myself when I'm writing, just ramble and have no cohesive real thought. It just kind of comes to me, and I'm writing things out. But when it gets to like the actual drawing stuff, we'll just like stop and talk about process or how to ink a tree or stuff like that. It's a lot of fun.
Do you find that a lot of the people that are watching are also artists, or is it more of like people trying to understand?
I have a pretty good base of people who are watching that are artists. Yeah, that's 100% true. So it definitely becomes more community driven in a sense that it's people actually asking questions about how to create stuff as opposed to just people watching.
Yeah. Okay, right. All right, let's go to Rick Lopez and see what's going on with the other host with the other most.
Thank you again for coming on, Jamie. I really appreciated it. So, what was your first Kickstarter? Because you've done a few, right?
Yeah, I think I've done 4 or 5 now at this point. The first one was the first Baboon book, which is the 64-page hardcover 2 years ago. So,
what's your experience been like with that? Like, I know you, like, I mean, like, obviously it works really well for you now, but I'm wondering, like, how was it in the beginning, or like, was it kind of like, did you? I forgot who we had on here, but they talked about their first. Oh no, it was Kevin. He talked about his first one didn't go as well as he'd liked, and then he reworked it, figured it out, and then obviously went off without a hitch the next time. So it's like, did you have any sort of experience like that, or what are the kind of things that you have like advice-wise for a Kickstarter? Maybe
I'm just
very
lucky.
Curious because like you're obviously very successful, and like the one you did with Nick, like that one went really well too, right?
Yeah. The one I did with Nick went really well. Similar to what Ben was saying earlier, I do really low cost Kickstarters. I think the first one was for $5,000. The one with Nick was super cheap, and this one's for $1,500. So it's keeping kind of a minimal cost for what it's going to actually be to produce a book. I have found is kind of key. My experience now is great. The majority of people who have backed the book for this one are people who have backed previous books. So that's also great. That's I guess that's what I have. Keep your costs low. Try to think of things. I'm also about to start adding in reward tiers midway through the campaign, constantly updating. So bringing people back to the page is a thing that I'm going to try. This is also the first Kickstarter that I've done that I didn't have completely done before I started. But doing it on stream and kind of having an accountable pace.
Super smart. Totally.
Yeah. So people can actually go and see how far I am in a book, as opposed to just, oh yeah, we don't know what this book is going to actually look like. You can just head over to the Twitch stream and see it being made daily. So
no, totally, that's awesome. Yeah, like I was just curious because like you're already talking about the next one, so it's like, okay, this is obviously like working really well for him. And then like I looked at it already, and I mean, you said you did it what, Tuesday is when you started it?
Yeah.
And it's already backed.
It was back. Yeah. It was fortunate enough it was backed in 24 hours. I went to bed Tuesday and woke up and it was backed and funded. Yeah, I actually just went to my local bar yesterday, and the bartender there was like, "Hey, how's your Kickstarter going?" I was like, "It was back." She was like, "Shots on me." And she just like poured me a shot, and I was like, "Okay, cool." So
yeah, that's awesome, dude. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Eli, this is Russ. I just want to toss this out there. and because everybody's talking about Kickstarters.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make this offer to everybody on, that's on this call right now, including the guys that are actually running Kickstarters. So I actually do Kickstarters. It's not my day job. I'm an IT guy during the day, but I'm on like number 16 for the year. So if anybody wants any advice or anything like that as far as Kickstarter goes, feel free to ask. Like, I mean, anything as far as Kickstarter. And I've only done one Indiegogo, so Kickstarter is definitely my strong point. And I do Kickstarters. I'm actually working on a backer kit, which is the fulfillment portion after Kickstarter. I'm working on that for Dan Mendoza right now. Dan Mendoza does Sugar Pop, and he just got Zombie Tramp back in his possession. I do all of Marat Michael's Kickstarters. So, I mean, the Kickstarters that we do, are, 30 to 80K a Kickstarter. So if anybody has any questions about, I review everything, statistics, I can tell you that we're getting close to 20,000 comic related Kickstarters that have been done in Kickstarter since its conception, which was almost 10 years ago. So I know no percentages as far as how many are successful, how many fail, what percentage make it over 10K, any of that stuff. So
that's awesome
for you guys. If you guys are thinking about doing a Kickstarter, I heard Brandon mention he's thinking about doing a Kickstarter. Reach out to me, and I can at least give you some ideas for tiers. How to set up your maybe stretch goals if you want to do stretch goals, anything like that. I can give you some pointers and point you in the right direction for doing that. I know you guys have been having some good success with your Kickstarters, like Jamie. I noticed that was very successful. You did a very small Kickstarter. It was only like 4 reward tiers, but you set your goal, which is awesome. You didn't, set like a $7,500 goal, because that would be, in my opinion, that would probably be harder to hit with that few of tiers. But, because you only set your goal at 1,500, you nailed it. Especially with the OA. If you guys can draw OA, original art is the easiest way to make money on a Kickstarter. There is no magic button. I will tell you, there is no easy button aside from putting boobs on the cover to being successful in a Kickstarter.
I put boobs on the cover; it didn't work.
Yeah, 100%. I was surprised this time around how well the original art tier, the sketch tier, actually performed. The majority of people who have backed have been original art, which is great. So yeah, that definitely,
you'll be busy.
That definitely rings true. I hope so. It gives me content for Twitch, so that's also good.
That's perfect, because ultimately that's what you're trying to do, right? Your first Kickstarter, it is, unless you've built up a fan base already, your first Kickstarter is going to be, you're dragging it along to hit your goal.
Yeah.
But then, when you get to that second one, you're trying to get, on average, 85% of your previous backers from your previous Kickstarter to back this one, and then draw in new blood, and it's building. And then, for the third one, it's 85% of your second Kickstarter and new blood. So you always have to be working towards finding new members to add to your fan base. So
Russell, will you adopt me?
What's that? What was that?
Oh, I was just making a joke. I just asked if you would adopt me.
Well, I don't know if you guys know too, Russ is a colorist too, and he colored Brower's cover for Image Grand Design, and some of the pinups and stuff too.
Nice.
And he does a ton of color work as well.
Yeah. I work for Marat Michaels at Counterpoint Comics. So Marat Drew Brigade back in the 90s. He's a very good friend of Liefeld. They still talk to this day. Marat has been a guest on Rob's podcast. So yeah, Marat's been in the industry for 30 years. So I take no credit for how well his Kickstarters do, because he has built that fan base over the last 30 years. I basically have come in and taken over the administrative duties for his business, Counterpoint Comics, so that he can draw, basically. So I do I manage his website, I do his Kickstarters, anything for Naughty and Nice, Pray for the Sinner. We just did a Pray for the Sinner crossover with Vampirella this summer. We're doing another crossover with Dynamite probably next year sometime. So I mean, he's a big name, and that has allowed me basically to, because everyone sees that I'm working for Marat, and he's such a nice guy to deal with, that I've been able to grow, who I've been able to help. So Dan Mendoza is, his last Kickstarter did over 100K. And, so I'm picking up things as I go from all of these other creators that are doing certain things in Kickstarter, and I can kind of piece it together and say, okay, look, this is what I'm seeing. I can tell you that, people are backing Kickstarters because they like Jamie. They like Jamie. Jamie's a good guy. He's easy to talk to. He's got a good presence on Twitch, right? And he's successful with that. And they're coming to back Jamie. They're coming to back a specific artist. So, anything like that, and
let me just interrupt here real quick. Ben's got a jet. I just want to really thank you so much, Ben, for coming out and being the topic of the first part of tonight's symposium. Thanks so much for coming, dude.
Dude, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and thank you guys. I wrote in the chat. I'm laggy right now, but I appreciate all the wonderful support, you guys, and I love you guys all. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, Ben. Thank you
And
so
Ben,
much, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Ben. Draw more fences.
Yeah, Ben, that I just checked out that chain link fence.
Oh my god, I gotta look.
You know what? That's a good
It's some beautiful work. Some beautiful work.
Thank you so
much.
Much. That's great. I love it. All right, guys. I gotta go. I love you guys. Thank you.
Later, Ben.
Perfect.
All right, I gotta look up this chain link fence. Sorry to interrupt you there, Russ.
Oh, Eli, it's fantastical.
Yeah. Someone tagged me on it. I don't see it. It's in the group or it's on his page?
No, it's in his Instagram. I had to scroll down a little bit.
Okay. Russ, thanks so much, dude. Did you finish there or sorry?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just wanted to. I didn't mean to like hijack anything, but
oh no, not at all.
Amy's time, but
it's good info, man. It's great info.
Guys, like I said, the door is open. The offer is extended. If you guys need help with Kickstarter, questions, pointers, foil covers, what kind of things to do like that to attract other folks, hit me up. I'll talk with you a little while and see how I can help you guys to be more successful. That's all it's about, is helping everyone to be more successful.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Thanks for the offer.
Because it does seem like there's lots of questions about Kickstarter, because it's obviously a great place to fund your book and to get people hyped for it and to kind of get these add-ons and get people psyched in. So
absolutely.
It's interesting talking about Kickstarter just in general. My plan, hopefully, by the time I do the 5th Baboon, or I guess the 4th or 5th like hardcover Baboon book, is to just like forego Kickstarter entirely. I and just go directly to pre-orders. If I can build up a fan base enough to be able to do that. Kickstarter's great for that publicity of being like, oh, I'm on Kickstarter. But if I can kind of mitigate that and just go direct to consumer, like a Michel Fife, his model is just, I put it out on Etsy and I do very well. And that would be,
it's crazy.
That would be fantastic if I could get to that kind of basis. Kickstarter is very good, I have found, with very small, very fast books. And when I go to try to do something a little larger, it's it's a lot harder for me to get excited. But like now my book got funded in 24 hours and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like I can just go and hang out and do promotions and come up with cool rewards for later on in the campaign. So
But see, that's why you hit the nail on the head with that, with only setting the $1,500 goal. See, because it's like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have had a table at a con before, but think about it. If there are 2 or 3 people standing at your table, everyone else around you wants to know why those people are standing at your table. What do you have that there's a group of people at your table? Everyone wants to know, what do they have? I got to see what everybody's looking at. And it's the same thing with crowdfunding. If you can hit your goal in that first 24 hours and go above it, so you're at 150%. Now everyone's like, why are they at 150% in 24 hours? Yeah. It attracts people. So that's why I always recommend, if you can set your goal lower and then hit your goal, that takes the stress off. You've hit your goal. Now you push. And exactly what you said.
Right. Yeah. And I try to keep things very, very minimal reward wise, just because I'm the only one handling all of this stuff. And I just moved 3 months ago. So it was, you know, I am very fortunate and lucky to have a really cool comic shop here in Savannah that has offered to me, like, basically be my fulfillment center. So
which one is it? Is it the Comic Box or
it's Neighborhood Comics.
Where is it at in Savannah?
What?
I used to live in Savannah. I went to SCAD.
Neighborhood Comics opened up 2 years ago. They just celebrated their second year. That place is great. They have
Is it downtown, or is it out more like by the mall and all that?
It is just south of Forsyth.
Okay.
Like a block south of Forsyth. So right across the street from the American Legion.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to live off right off Barnard Street, down off Forsyth.
Okay.
By like the freshman dorm or whatever. Well, the second one or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like right across the street over there.
Yeah. I live pretty close to there. Yeah. Sweet.
Oh yeah. All right, cool. So let's I know Kevin's got his hand up for a sec. All right, let's go to Kevin and then we'll hit up Ray.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
What up, Kev? Another very successful Kickstarter guy here.
I got a 2-parter for you, and I hate to keep bringing up Kickstarter, but the first one's about that. So, how many like Kickstarters do you think an individual creator should do like a year? Because I launched one in February. Was it like end of February? And I met its goal and everything, and I did all my fulfillments. I got the book out. I did pretty quick, but anyways. But now I'm ready to launch the second one, and I'm almost wondering. I want to roll off the success of the first one, but like I want to know. I don't want to like drain my audience either. You know.
Yeah, I think you're good with 2 at least.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. I have not done 2 Kickstarters in a year. No, that's not true. I have. And that went fine. I think it depends on if you're like you said, if you fulfilled it and it was in the early part of the year, if it was in February, I think you're okay.
I should be proud to even have that much work done to even be able to do 2 Kickstarters in a year, I would think.
I'm planning on doing one in March next year.
I'm basically like quitting my job and doing this stuff like full time. So.
Hell yeah.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. Yeah, that's dope.
So yeah, my second question is, are there any plans for you to work with like Stephanie Phillips again? Because I met you before years ago, and you guys were doing some like hockey book.
Yeah.
And I'm from Buffalo, and she lives here now too. So I run into her.
I think she's moving. I think she just moved. But
I don't know.
Steph is one of my best friends.
Yeah.
So there's constantly talk of doing stuff with Stephanie. I get all the good insider scoop of like what's going on with Harley Quinn and the Batman stuff she's doing. So that's super fun. I knew about her Wonder Woman book long before it was announced. Yeah, Stephanie is one of my best friends. We constantly talk about doing things. It with in terms of Kicking Ice, which was the hockey book that we did. We are waiting for rights to revert back to us.
Okay.
And then possibly doing a second volume, which would be super fun. But it really depends kind of at this point on her schedule. I have talked to her about maybe writing some Baboon stuff. I've been thinking about doing a Baboon magazine in the near future, and having like some guest artists and maybe some guest writers step in and write some stuff. So it might be like my relationship to Stephanie might be her writing just straight up prose in a magazine that I illustrate, which would be super fun. But yeah, I talked to Stephanie. I was texting Stephanie like today. We give each other dating advice. That's
good that you guys have a good relationship. I like to hear like good creator relationships, because not all creators are pleasant to be around, you know.
No, she is. Stephanie is one of my best friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love her to death.
Dope.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Kevin, for sure, man. All right, let's go over to Ray.
Hey, Jamie.
The hostess with the mostest.
Ray.
Sorry, Ray. The host with the most.
Well, that's all right. Like I said, I've been called worse.
Hey, I'm gonna keep trying until I can get there, man. I'll get there.
Cool, man. Cool. Hey, Jamie. A quick question. You mentioned that, and I was looking you up a little bit before before tonight's show, and your presence is on Twitch, and I'm kind of curious as like, because most comic book artists are doing Instagram. I think Twitter was the thing until they realized that Twitter really maybe, I mean, still do some Twitter, some Facebook, but I don't know. Like maybe there are a lot of comic book artists that are doing Twitch, but it seems like it doesn't seem like the social media platform that like everybody's using, but it seems really effective for you. So I'm just kind of curious as to why Twitch. I like people to think out of the box a little bit. I'm sorry to interrupt. I like people to think out of the box a little bit. So that's really where my question comes from.
Yeah, I have a buddy who started doing Twitch mid last year, and for just purely video game stuff.
Right.
And we were talking, and he was talking numbers to me, and I went, "Oh, I should start doing Twitch." So I came from it from a very, I guess, streamer gamer perspective. And he kind of talked me through it. And when I moved to Savannah, I needed something to kind of hold me accountable. I've had the beginning of my year was pretty rough, and then I ended up moving, and I didn't really draw for the beginning of this whole year. And I needed something to kind of hold me accountable, and Twitch became that. And I've kind of built up an audience over there just purely from streaming every day. You know, I draw every day, so it was very easy to just be like, all right, now I'm turning cameras on. I have an acting background too, so that also kind of helps. But it is like doing a panel every single day. Kind of trying to be entertaining, but also trying to be educational if that comes up. And yeah, Twitch is the best platform I have found, the best platform for community. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, there's a lot of places that have a really the audience isn't there, or the audience that I need or I wasn't finding on those platforms. But with Twitch, the community that you build around, or the community that Twitch has built around their platform is very chat oriented, which is something that I never had on Instagram. And I used to stream on Instagram and Facebook constantly. and I have just found a kind of a constant viewership over there. They know when I stream and they come and watch, and that is better than anything that's ever happened on Instagram or any other platform.
Okay. Very cool.
It is a dedicated streaming platform. That's, I think, the main difference, right? Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are concerned with other things. Twitch is concerned with streaming. And that's, and the people who come to Twitch know that they're concerned with streaming.
Right. And that's how you're going to connect, because you're just streaming content. You're streaming your thoughts. You're streaming just every day. Like you said, a panel every day. So So they're getting what they want, which is that interaction, that like view in your brain of like how you're creating and what you're creating. Would that be fair to say?
Exactly. And one of the things that I've started doing, it was very early on, I went on a rant. Somebody asked me a question and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to talk about, this is actually what I think. Let me tell you what I actually think instead of pulling punches. And everyone loved it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is a place where I can just actually spew my own thoughts. And I made a specific screen that when that happens, we go to Jamie's soapbox, and it's just the Looney Tunes symbol that says Jamie's soapbox on it. And I get to rant for a little bit, and people love it. People in the chat are just like chanting soapbox. Jamie's, they're so excited by it. And it's given me a lot of confidence just to actually speak my mind.
Yeah, I mean, everybody uses this word authenticity and being authentic, and it's kind of like a buzzword, but it's like real, because like I think like you can't be an a-hole, but at the same time, I think people don't want to like be honest. Even if they're not being mean, they're just not giving you their honesty. So I think when people realize, okay, this guy's the real deal, there's a certain buy-in that you're going to get.
Sure.
You know, it's not about being negative. It's just, these are my thoughts.
There was,
you know, there's a difference.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool. No, that's really cool. That's really good insight, because like, I keep thinking about, I can't draw. If I can draw stick people, like that'll be like a major accomplishment for me. But a lot of my friends are creators, so I'm always thinking, and I've thought about social media, like what platforms, and I use Instagram for a lot of my stuff personally. I do review videos, but you know, I was one of the kayfabers mentioned TikTok, just because why not? But I never really thought about Twitch. But from what you're saying, if you're doing this full time, or you have dedicated time every day, you know, that you're creating content, you're creating art, it's a good solution. And yeah, I'm just saying, that's why I think it's a really good solution from what you're telling me.
Yeah. And I have found just, I guess in my own insecurities, I have found with the way I draw and drawing a little more cartoony, and people look at it and go, oh, this is easy. I have found going to conventions and people flipping through my comics thinking it's purely the fact that I'm not cross-hatching to death, that it is almost lesser. I have found that through Twitch and people watching me draw and watching my thought process, they go, oh no, this guy actually knows what he's doing, which is
that's really that's fascinating. I appreciate you sharing this, because this is something that I never considered. I don't know how many other creators use it. I guess it's growing, but it's a really interesting thought process, because I was thinking like, it's paying off for you and why. So I appreciate you answering those questions very much.
Oh, of course. I am an open book when it comes to just that kind of stuff. I'm figuring it out as I go along.
Well, you know, the thing is that the dynamics change. So if you have it figured out today, in a week, things could change, and therefore you have to kind of like update that thing. It's not like, it's an evolving platform, and with evolving people and what they want. So it's never going to be static. So even if you figure it out 100% today, in a month, you're going to be behind the curve.
Sure.
So, I mean, if people say, well, I'm still figuring it out. It's like, yeah, but you know, I don't know if anybody's ever going to really figure it out. If they say that, I think they're lying.
That's true. Yeah, I have no idea how TikTok works. So
neither do I.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jamie, I like that you do kind of like you do programming too, like, you know, this time, you know, come to our channel, and then, you know, I have, you know, it's going to be this, and then other times it's going to be this, and then so like it's not always just like I'm going live and it could be whatever, but you have like, isn't it how you do it? It's like 2:30 Wednesdays is going to be this, and then it's like it's good.
Right.
So that's a good way to you know, drive like not necessarily exclusivity, but like, you know, a diversity of programming, and the fact that this is like a channel you're proponing, and not just like, hey, I'm just gonna draw here.
100%. Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with Gary Vee, but he says one time, he was like, you have to treat your social media differently, like they are television programs, and how, like, think about what you're posting on each day as a different television show. So Thursdays is one of my best days. I paint on Thursdays. That's about all I do on Thursdays. And then it's writing different comics or painting or doing different things each day. And people know when to tune in. It's huge. Yeah. That is something that I learned from my video game streamer friend, because that's something video game people do constantly. They'll be like, hey, we're playing on Sunday, we're playing this game, and they'll play the entire game, and then when that game is done, they'll switch games, and then they'll announce that they're playing this game. So if you stream 4 or 5 times a week, you're playing 4 or 5 different games, and that's, you tune in to watch that game. So for me, it's like, tune in to watch me pencil. That's Tuesdays. Tune in to watch me ink. That's Wednesdays. Tune in to watch me paint. That's Thursdays. You know, so you can kind of get what you want to get out of the creator.
Right. And then, you know, you tune in for one thing and you dig it, and then you start tuning in for another thing, and then before you know it, you're freaking watching every day.
Right.
You're a Jonesaholic.
This is what Russell was saying earlier, is it becomes less and less about the content that you're creating and more about the person who you're watching.
Absolutely. All right, Jerome, let's get you in here, man. I know you say you're trying to learn a little bit about Twitch and a little bit about what's going on and how to stop from twitching, like the government did something on you that went terribly wrong. Ashley, Fresh Prince, I'm out of here. You're muted, Rome. You're muted.
So yeah, sorry. While I was rambling on mute, talking about all of that stuff, how you just been in essence just building your brand. I know you've gone through it very organically. It's like, yeah, you're the Eisnery guy in the bow tie, like, but it's you're more than that. It's almost theatric the way that you speak, and there's always like some really good insight in there. But how to build it using things like Twitch and Patreon and things like that. But when all those things that you're doing to build your brand and to build your audience, like what kind of things is beneficial to you as an artist, and not just trying to build an audience. Like I know when I started my Patreon, I got like 4 guys on there, which is great, but it's not about creating the audience. It's just, there's that, I felt like you guys were talking about, just I felt regimented, and there was structure, and it was like, okay, every Wednesday I gotta put something out, because these 4 cups of coffee they're important, right? They're it's proof that people are gonna like some of my stuff, right? So are there other benefits that you find when you're doing all these different things, like when you Twitch, when you paint, right, or as a gamer, or anything like that? I'm rambling on here too, but Like yeah, yeah. Maybe that'll be my brand too. But like what kind of things are like just with the consistency? I like it. Like, what other things other than your art being better and more people liking it? Like, are there things just just mentally or with the way that you work? Like, has that changed because you're streaming and you know that people are watching at this certain time?
It has less to do. Yeah, I think I have enough. It has less to do with people watching me and more to do with a really strong schedule for me. I am fortunate enough to have people who are watching and will respond. But for me, the more I do this job, I have found that every year I end up switching my career path, or every year I end up switching kind of what I thought my career was going to be. And I have become 100% more a businessman than I am an artist now. And that sucks. And what Twitch has done is made this much more easy. So like I get to draw for 2 to 3 hours a day, and I'm dedicated to only doing that, right? And yeah, I'm on Twitch and I'm held accountable by people who are watching, but that's kind of the time I get to draw during the day. I wake up. What this has done is made me wake up in the morning. I answer emails. I get to do business things, and then I go to sit down and draw at 3 o'clock, probably to about 6 o'clock. And when I am focused for about 2 to 3 hours, I can get a hell of a lot of work done. And it's a dedicated time for me to get work done. That's undistracted. I'm not on my phone. I'm not on the computer. I'm just sitting there drawing, which is ideal. And there's people there. So I have at least a little bit of human interaction, albeit over the computer, but it has helped me with communication skills. It's helped me probably in the long run to be able to sell my stuff. So it's not just building up a brand. It's also building a community, which is becoming more and more what I'm trying to do moving forward, is finding people who are going to continuously support and actually want the stuff that I'm making. Because I know I fulfill a very small niche, right? I'm doing pulp action adventure comics. I tell people when I meet them out, they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I say, "Oh, I draw comic books." And they're like, "What kind?" And I said, "Little boy comics." That's what I'm interested in doing is little boy comics. If you don't want to read that, I take no offense, but that's like what I like. So that's what I do.
Do you find yourself working at such a strict schedule? Do you find that there's an added pressure, or that it takes away any of the joy of the drawing?
No, I thrive.
Good, because I like the energy of your drawing. So
yeah, thanks. I thrive, and you might know this from martial arts, but I thrive under regiment, right? Yes. I thrive on schedule. So that's my, if I wake up every morning and I drink a cup of coffee and read a book, right? I don't read comic. I used to read comics every morning, and now I wake up in the morning and read some probably right now it's the Steve Martin autobiography, but before that it was the Norman Rockwell biography. So I constantly try to wake up in the morning and read and drink a cup of coffee. So I've kind of ritualized my entire life in order for me to get anything done.
Oh yeah, it's the make your bed. Right?
Yes, yeah, it is the make your bed mentality. I don't make my bed, but I I sit down and draw every day.
That's good. Like, that's because drawing is like it's a secondary thing for me, right? I do it as fun, but as as this year, as as this year has gotten all messed up, I've gotten to do it more, and I'm taking it more seriously. And there's that little bit of fear of, if I take it more seriously and do it more seriously, will it suck the fun out? And I don't like living a life with fun getting sucked out. So, but this is just, again, it's the own artistic, the insecurity of, like, if it becomes its own thing, right? Yeah, it's just a worry of mine, which really, like you said, like all structure and schedule has been good for me in my life. So I don't know why I wouldn't do this, but I guess I needed someone else to just say it too.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There are days when I wake up and I'm like, I really don't want to draw. That's right. It's like anything else, especially if you're doing it every day. But I always have to remember this. My grandfather always said, 80% of the work is showing up. So once I end up at my desk, and I might just be sitting at my desk for 10 minutes, I get bored, and then I start drawing, right? Because it's just...
Yeah, the other day, you even put on a belt.
I did, yeah. I got fully dressed to do work.
I saw that.
I had to put on a button-down shirt and a belt. That was the main kicker. I tucked my shirt in. You guys couldn't see it in the picture, but I tucked my shirt in to make it feel like I was going to work. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Actually, we've got a request in the comments here for a little twist up. Ian actually wants to ask a question to Jerome.
Oh, okay.
Twist.
Just from what Jerome and Jamie were talking about. And then after I said that, Jamie, you kind of jumped in about the martial arts stuff. So like, I'm living in Japan, and 15 years ago, I took karate because I was in Japan, so I should take it in Japan. And it's so repetitive. Like, you're just doing the same actions over and over and over again. And the same, I did calligraphy here, and it's also same actions over and over and over again. And actually going to art school and university, no repetition. It's like, here's a thing, draw this thing. They don't focus on repetition at all. And I guess Brandon jumped in about muscle memory. That's what it is, like building up reps in your arm, building it in your body. Yeah. So like, Jerome, I was wondering how you're teaching martial arts, right?
Yes.
So you have a much better understanding of it than I do. How does that influence the way that you draw? Like, do you think that you take a lot of structure in the way that you're trying to learn how to draw? I think what you've been doing the last year is really amazing. Yeah.
It's not like that's a good question. Thanks. But what I would normally think of is, like, it's not like let's say, like, if you're doing a pattern and you're just doing the same move over and over and over and over and over and over, like, that's what you like. That's really not what I would do. That's like, in terms of drawing, right? Because I know how to draw a line. I kind of know how to draw a figure, but instead of drawing that same pose over and over, like, when we're just doing like the life drawing, and then you do like those videos, and there's a whole bunch of different poses. You have 5 minutes to do this one, 5 minutes to do this one, 2 minutes to do this one, and that felt kind of like doing more like sparring rounds rather than doing like the same routine over and over again, right? It was a little bit different each time, but it was the translation of, there's something in front of me, I have to match it with whether I'm drawing it or I'm hitting it. There's that play. There's that play involved, and I guess that's kind of what you felt when you said when you went to art school, where it was, yeah, draw this, but then do the next one, and it wasn't as repetitive, but it's a different kind of repetitive. right? It's like a problem solving kind of repetitive, not like, 1 + 1 is 2, right? Right. 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 4. It's not just repeating and reciting, right? There's a translation and a reaction that has to happen each time. And I think I don't even know if I answered your question, because now I'm getting lost in my own.
I guess if I want a simple question is, do you see some parallels to the both types of training?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've only gotten better at anything that I do because I've done it 1,000 times, right? And I do it another 1,000 times, then it gets a little bit better. It gets a little bit better each time. So it's a volume of work type thing. Like there might be guys in gyms that aren't as good as the best guy, but if they've been there 5, 6, 7 years and they've gotten beat up a bunch of times, they'll be better than the new guy, right? It's right. So right now in art and comics, just being around the community that's been built around here, like I'm taking my licks and I'm like, oh, okay, yep, that leg's too short. Okay, let's fix that. Oh, don't be chicken. Draw that hand, right? Like, don't put it in a pocket this time. Come on, Jerome, that was the last page, right? So just trying to be brave in the mistakes that you make. That's kind of
Jerome, may I chime in?
Yeah.
Jerome and I like often talk about martial arts because I'm also a fencing coach. And I think
and not the chain link fence from before.
Not the chain link fence from Heavy. I think part of what he's getting at is the pieces you do over and over again. Like you draw a hand, or you figure a shadow, or you kind of have a way that you crosshatch something, and you do it, and you do it, and you do it. And even like if you're just sketching, you're catching a volume, you're doing a gesture, and you do it over and over again. After your 1,000th gesture drawing, it's pretty easy. But then when you're putting together, a piece of art, you take all those things that you've learned how to do a bunch of times, and you assemble them in some unique, crazy way. And it's the same thing with martial arts. Like I learned a block, or I learned a piece of timing, or I learn, some little thing that I do. That's not what I do all by itself on this trip. I put together one piece and another piece and another piece and another piece. And that's how I create an attack. And that's how I create defense in the martial arts setting. In the art setting, I'm still doing the same thing. I'm drawing a bit of a plant I drew once before, and I remember how to do it. I'm drawing a hand. Maybe I've drawn the same hand a bunch of times. It's just my favorite hand. And you even see like other comic book artists, you'll see like they'll go back to like the same pose, or the same hey Dad. The like a kind of same look that they'll do a bunch of times. It's sort of like their iconic look. Oh, the Tyrant book. There's a funny story about that. That is a Tyrant ash can that used to belong to Scott Alley, because my wife, when we were dating, lived down the hall from him. When he moved out his apartment, left a box of comics there. So
very cool.
Great. Thanks, Ian.
I like really quickly, like what I was saying in art school, where there were a lot of practices where you draw something new. Like figure drawing was really fun to do. Mm-hmm. I unfortunately went to school in the 90s when conceptualism was very heavy, and there was a lot less practice than there should be. I think there was more in the 70s and 80s and more in the aughts. But yeah, like you could scam your way through art school pretty easy. And so like I talked my way through some of my art classes.
I just had to fill hundreds of sketchbooks when I was in art school.
Well, is it like you didn't have to do it to graduate though, and that was like a big flaw. But actually, yeah, coming to Japan and doing the arts that I did, like I really did focus on muscle memory, not necessarily in my own personal art, but even like language study. I do the exact same practice where you build it up by practice. So it's exciting talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. Sorry, Jamie.
Oh no. I found what Sam was saying earlier. I have a lot of stage combat training, and when you do, there's certain like sword maneuvers that are just like 1, 2, 3, and when you put them together, and you're going through all of that, the fight choreographer will just like yell a number at you, and if you know what the number, you're supposed to know what the number is, and then you just go. I've never thought about that in terms of like slinging a brush before, and I have like one line, and I know I have one line, and I continue to use that one line in just different variations, which I find probably to be the most similar to what's like stage combat is, at least tonight. That's what I'm thinking.
It's a good line.
Yeah. Thanks. It goes
like,
up.
I try to steal that line all the time.
Yeah.
The one thing beautifully.
Yeah, that's all you got to do is one thing beautifully.
Yeah.
All right, we got one last question here coming from the man Jason Lapidus, coming all the way from the land of the coldness, Acadian driftwood, gypsy tale.
All right, Eli.
Jason Lapidus, my good friend
from his retirement home.
Sure. Yeah.
I sing the band because they're a Canadian band as much as they are an American band. So.
Oh no. They're 4/5 Canadian, dude.
See, exactly. Toronto. They're from Toronto, actually.
Southern Ontario. Yeah, but anyway, let's get back to Jamie. Question for you, Jamie, and thanks for doing this, by the way. And it's interesting to hear all your answers to all the questions and all that stuff. So my question for you is about the commissions list you've got and the drawings you do of other people's characters. I'm wondering how much fighting off of other influences do you have during those moments to like maintain your own style? Does that make sense? Like, do you have to fend off?
I know exactly what you're talking. Yes.
So do you mind like spending a good 5 minutes addressing that process of fending off other influences to get your stuff to look the way that it does? Because all your stuff looks like you, which is awesome.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I can't draw Thor without drawing Simonson's Thor. That's because, and it is harder and harder for me to do if that person is an influence of mine very early on. So I think I have, so Simonson, let's bring it back to Simonson. One of my biggest influences before I started really drawing comics in earnest. And if you look at some of my younger like sample pages and stuff, it's Simonson all over the place. So if I go and draw Thor, it has a lot of Simonson in it, and it's hard for me to escape it because that he is so ingrained in how I think. I am very lucky and fortunate now that the majority of commissions that I get are like golden age characters. So if somebody asks me, hey, Jamie, can you draw the spirit? I go, oh yeah, sure. And it feels like I draw the spirit, even though I ape Eisner's line constantly, and I ape Eric Powell's line constantly, right? And even like Plastic Man, if I draw Plastic Man, it still kind of feels that golden age thing, even though I don't have that very tiny little brush line that Jack Cole has. The more of an influence that I have from a creator, the harder it is for me to shake it. Daredevil becomes very much, Frank Miller and Chris Samnee, right? It becomes that just because those are the guys who I was looking at Daredevil all the time. It's hard for me to draw Batman for that reason, because there's so many guys that I'm pulling some kind of influence from. I end up drawing Kevin Maguire's Batman every single time. And so I appreciate you saying it always looks like me. I look at it and go, I'm a complete fraud. I'm just aping other people. But maybe that is, I was talking to my buddy before we got on today, and I was talking to him about style and more from a writing perspective. And I was like, you just suck in as much as you want, and then it ends up being mixed around in the stew of you, and then is distilled out in some kind of way. So that's, I'm fortunate enough that my Eisner influence is big enough that it kind of masks everything else.
It's kind of like that. It's like with the Eisner lens, then you shine those other influences through it, and then it kind of like diverges into like whatever style you're going through. So like you have like the kind of Eisner, like what's it called? The thing from the Pink Floyd album cover, and then it's the rainbow of influences,
right?
The prism,
the prism of
the
exactly.
Eisner prism, and then you.
Yeah.
Do you find that you have to like start stuff again, or change what you're doing midway through because the influence is showing through too much from your point of view?
I have started penciling looser and looser,
right?
And that's helped a lot. I pencil with a huge pencil, with a 5.6 millimeter
Hold
pencil.
On. I have to say, we made a pact at the beginning of this whole thing. None of us were going to brag about the size of our pencils. You can't do that. It's not fair. But go on. Sorry.
Can we see that pencil again? I need to get it.
I
look at that thing.
5.6 millimeter pencil. That's got a
lead holder.
Yeah.
It's not very long. So I can kind of, this is
getting pretty bad. Yeah.
Now it's getting pretty.
It's like Boyle on
bad.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's got to know what he's doing.
But I'm able to palm it. So I kind of have developed a weird pencil grip where I'm able to like palm the pencil in a way and draw kind of as if it is just the tip of my finger. And that keeps me, keeps any of my like hand tension loose. Because it's a heavy enough pencil that and a soft enough lead that any mark that I make is pretty quick. But it also keeps everything chunky enough on the page that when I go in with a tighter ink line, and I ink with a pretty big brush too. I ink with a number 4 on smaller pages. It allows me to like do a little bit more noodling in the inks, where I think is a little bit more of my stylistic control, as opposed to a very tight pencil. If I tightly pencil, I end up looking like other people and not like me.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I hear that. I feel something similar. I think I got you. That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool.
The chat definitely got dirty after all that, but
of course it did.
Apologies,
Jason.
Sorry, it's hard
awesome.
not to.
The tip is smaller than the shaft. Is the way you want your pencils, I think, for sure. Well, thank you, Jamie Jones, so much for joining us for the Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats Comics Symposium. I can't even remember, honestly, how many of these we've had. I think maybe this is like the 6th or 7th one, but they've all been amazing. Thank you all so much for coming. Anyone else have any final questions, comments? Anyone want to plug anything that they've got coming out?
My upcoming Twitch stream.
Yeah, right. All of our upcoming Twitch streams. Hell yeah, dude. All right. Well,
yeah, I guess find me on Twitch. It's Art of Jamie Jones over there. And then I've got a Kickstarter running now. So
Kevin Delgado's throwing down the gauntlet on you, Sam. Where's Chicken X?
Oh man, Chicken X is wrapped up in so much personal biz.
Good question, because this is a Kickstarter question.
It is a great question.
What do you do when life happens?
Yeah, life happened, and as a result, Chicken became very dark.
You just got to leave it in the oven for less time.
I've drawn a bunch of pages, and they look really good, but they're just not fun. And chicken needs to be fun.
Yeah.
It's like, there's the evil
I agree with
microwave,
that.
and it's eviscerating these guys, blowing out the brains and things. It's like, wow, this looks really cool, but this is just not right.
Word. Reach out to any of us if you need an extra hand or a second eye.
I'm stepping back, and I've got a bunch of like little fan things that the deadlines are hitting on, so I'm trying to bang those out, and then I should have my head clear, ready to re-hit chicken, and then it's the next batch of stuff just getting ready to go.
Hell yeah.
And I'm starting a new fencing club, so I've got that taking up a bunch of time too.
Oh, that's congratulations, Sam.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm taking over for my old maestro that is retiring. So,
all right, man. Congratulations. Good luck.
Yeah, awesome, dude.
Nice.
All right, y'all. Thank you once again. And this is Eli Schwab reminding you to not only read more comics, but be more comics. Nice. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thank you. Eli.
That's my new catchphrase. It's catching
Jamie.
on. All right, yeah. Thanks so much, Jamie.
Eli.
Thanks, everyone.
I've that one already.
You hashtag? Hell yeah, dude.
Yes, I've used it, Eli.
All right, I'm gonna end the.